Hey there, movie fans. Welcome to a brand new episode of FYC. We are about 4 weeks away from the 95th Academy Awards taking place on March 12th. And here we are in FYC predicting now who is going to win in each of these categories. That is what we do here on FYC. We, meaning the amazing Perri Nemiroff and the mighty Jeff Snyder. So last week, we ranked in order of our personal favorites, Best Actor and Best Actress, going through each of the nominees in order of our favorites, saying why this person's going to win, why this person won't win, and then getting to the end and saying, okay, this is who's going to win. Now, on this episode of FIC, we are doing the same with supporting actress and supporting actor, ranking each of the nominees in order of our favorites and then picking who is going to win. But before we get to all that, we had the Oscar nominees luncheon here in LA, and it was a big to-do. This is where all the nominees in all of the categories show up and take a class photo. Basically, and this was it's really, really awesome thing. And it was back in full swing after a couple years of pandemic issues. But the big story out of the Oscar nominees luncheon is what a nominee, past winner too, Steven Spielberg, said to Tom Cruise, who made his first official industry appearance since the premiere of Top Gun on the Midway last May. Jeff, would you like to set up what the greatest filmmaker and the most successful filmmaker who ever walked the face of this planet said to the biggest movie star in the world?
I mean, basically, he went up to him, and it was a supposedly private moment that was very much captured on camera and audible for many to hear. But he was like, Tom, you saved the business. And remember, these guys worked together on Minority Report, on War of the Worlds, so they'd go back a long ways. But it was pretty classy to see Steven, who is sort of Mr. Blockbuster, for all intents and purposes, go up to Tom Cruise and give him credit for bringing people back to movie theaters. I know people didn't show up to the Fabelmans in droves, but the people who did go see it were there in the theater because, Top Gun sort of restarted the theatrical business.
Yeah. So here you have Steven Spielberg, with so much exuberance telling Tom Cruise, you saved Hollywood's ass. Top Gun Maverick saved the movie business. This is coming from Steven Spielberg to Tom Cruise. And we've been saying this all along the way here on FYC, that if Academy voters express that same sentiment when it comes to picking their winner for Best Picture, ranking the movies on their ballot, that sentiment, in addition to the fact that Top Gun Maverick is a great film, could go a long way in securing this movie a win for Best Picture. So Perri Nemiroff, what is your take on what Spielberg said to Cruise? And do you think that enough noise will be made of that, even though we've been saying this noise for a while, that it could affect the winner?
I think it's a nice moment. I think there's a lot of truth in that statement, and I want to respect that truth and what a big difference Top Gun Maverick made. But as far as determining the winner goes, I am not going to, overemphasize the effect that this video and this statement might have. I still think that Top Gun Maverick is one of the more likely Best Picture winners, but I'm not ready to push it ahead of Everything Everywhere All at Once because of this comment.
I mean, look, again, as I've been saying all along, Perri, I mean, I love Everything Everywhere All at Once. It was my number 2 movie of the year, and sometimes it's my number 1. It just sort of depends what mood I'm in when I wake up that morning. But I do feel, and I've said very strongly, and Jeff, I know you feel the same way about Top Gun. And we've been saying this all along. So the fact that this happened at an Academy event, where, by the way, Tom Cruise was the MVP of the day. Everyone went up to him. Everyone wanted to meet him. All the nominees wanted to have their pictures taken with them. I mean, there's a great pic of Ke Huy Quan getting a selfie with Tom Cruise. And I just like the fact that everyone in the room, all these nominees in the business, gravitated to Tom Cruise. And again, if that sentiment is played out by voters who were among those who went back to the movies because of Top Gun, and here you have Spielberg validating that, I mean, I just think that might help the movie. Jeff, do you think that might help Top Gun? Sort
I
of give
think
it
it
the edge a
helps.
little.
It helps it in that it's someone who's like a serious filmmaker, like Spielberg, giving props to a blockbuster.
Serious filmmaker.
But I think it sort of allows people to check that box without feeling like they're throwing away their vote on some commercial thing. But I may very well change my Best Picture vote by the end of this season, Scott. I don't know if listen, I don't know what the hell's going to win. I'll just be honest. I know for the last 5 months I've been saying, oh, I know. Listen, I have no idea. I just don't think it's going to be everything everywhere all at once.
What sparked this new sense of
Yeah,
doubt?
Jeff.
I had a
Wow.
conversation with somebody who's in the Academy, and we talked about All Quiet on the Western Front and how that could very well become the parasite of this year. I'm just saying, I put down a bet over the weekend when I was making my Super Bowl bets. I peeked over at those Oscar odds, and I placed $10 on All Quiet on the Western Front and Tar at 33-1 odds, just in case something crazy happens.
Something crazy could indeed happen. Absolutely. Tar is getting a whole lot more talk about a lot more now than just Kate Blanchett. There's some talk that maybe it could win Best Picture because it has support, in the screenplay and director, of course, lead actress, major nominations. And then there is the Everything Everywhere All at Once factor, which, I mean, it's a beloved film, but I don't know if it's unanimously beloved. And I mean, look, I'm not wavering on Top Gun. I could change my mind by the time we make our final nominations the week before the Oscars on, March 12th. I could change my mind. I mean, I think in some of the other categories, at least a couple of them, it looks like I am going to change my mind, but I'm not going to say which ones they are yet. But for Best Picture, I've been beating this drum since May. And when when I tweeted over the summer that Top Gun should be nominated for Best Picture, there were a lot of people on Twitter who said, you're out of your friggin' mind. And now here we are, and it is a major contender to win, not the only contender to win. But I posted on Twitter the other day about the Spielberg conversation with Tom Cruise. I just copied the link. I think it was from Variety on my Twitter handle, Movie Mance. If you want to check it out, it's Movie Mance. And it got retweeted 60 times, and it got liked by 400 people. I know that's not a whole lot, but there are a lot of people who do feel that it should win regardless. And a lot of people who do feel that it's the movie that brought people back. That and Elvis. Elvis did the same thing.
Sure.
I mean,
to be clear, you don't win an Oscar for that. You don't win an Oscar for getting people back to the theater. There's more to it than that.
Well, there is more to it than that. But Top Gun's a great fucking movie, and it deserves to win. I mean, it should win. Everybody loves this movie. Why isn't it going to win? Because it's a blockbuster, or because it's just entertainment? I mean, so what? I mean, it should win. I mean, I love the movie, but I love Elvis, and I've been singing the praises of Elvis since June. I've been singing the praises of Everything Everywhere since March, and I think that this is very, very, very exciting. To quote Ryan Gosling from La La Land, that we are, any one of these movies could win.
They're coming down the home stretch, Scott.
We're coming in the home stretch, and I just got to say one thing about All Quiet on the Western Front. Yes, it is a great movie, Jeff. I was completely floored by it. I did get a chance to see All Quiet on the big screen, but it is the only one of the 10 nominees for Best Picture that is exclusive to a streaming service. And with other, movies that did really well at the box office, like Elvis and Top Gun and Everything Everywhere, and of course Avatar, I just think the Academy is saying, that we're about movies. Big movies are back this year, and I don't think that All Quiet, because it's the sole nominee from a streaming service, is gonna break through. It'd be great if it did, but I don't think that's gonna happen. So there you go. All right. Shall we move on?
Bet, Jeff.
Huh?
I said so much for that bet, Jeff.
No, Jeff could be right. If Jeff is right, then great. I mean, look, again,
if Jeff is right, Jeff is taking us out for a nice dinner.
Right, exactly.
Yes, absolutely. All right, well, let's move on to the nominees for supporting actress. Again, we're going to rank them in our favorites from 5 to 1. Say what we love or say why this nominee will win, but yeah, probably why this nominee won't win. And then at the end, we're going to pick who we think will win. So, Perri, let's, as always, start with you. Who is number 5 on your 5 best supporting actress nominees list?
I will preface this by saying I love all 5 of these performances, but someone has to be number 5. And my number 5 is Jamie Lee Curtis for Everything Everywhere All at Once. Again, I love all these performances. I think part of the reason why she ranks lower down on the list for me, though, is I think the other 4 have a greater influence on the trajectory of the stories that they're in overall. So I felt the weight of their performance a little more than I did hers, even though she is a vital part of Everything Everywhere All at Once. But right now, Jamie Lee Curtis is my number 5. Why she could win is because she's really good in the movie and she's Jamie Lee Curtis and everybody loves her. Why she will not win is basically the reasons why I have her lower down on my list. I do think that some voters out there are going to recognize that and they're going to push some other contenders in this category above her.
Okay, Jeff, where does Jamie Lee Curtis for Everything Everywhere rank on your list?
I have her at 3.
Oh, good. Okay.
Yeah.
Why is she winning?
I mean, she could win because she's a veteran actress who has not been honored before, and people love the movie. And it's like a physical transformation too. I mean, not that she's entirely unrecognizable, but you know, she is wearing some prosthetics and stuff like that. I don't know. Why she could not? I think she's going to end up splitting votes with Stephanie Hsu. That's really just what it comes down to. I really don't know that either one of them has a great chance because the other one made it in.
I have Jamie Lee Curtis at number 4, and all 5 of these supporting actress nominees are all SAG Award nominees. And with the exception of one, they are all first-time nominees, with the exception of one. I think Jamie Lee Curtis gave a great performance. We've never seen her like this. It's her first nomination. She's a legend. She's an icon. She's beloved in the industry. She has definitely been making the rounds, just like soaking it all in. And it was a performance that was not, it just wasn't what you would expect from her. Why I think she probably won't win is because, in addition, like you said, Jeff, was splitting the vote with Stephanie Hsu. I just think that there's not enough talk about her to win, because there are actresses in this category who gave stronger performances, sort of flashier performances that are getting more talk. But I do love her in the film, and I love the movie. So number 4 is where she is.
I think she could win. Just to be clear, I totally think that she could.
Perri?
I still have her lower down on my. I guess in a sense, almost anyone can win, but she's still someone that I'm not considering as a real contender to actually take the statue right now.
I understand that you prefer Stephanie's performance, but do you think that Stephanie has a better shot to win than Jamie Lee?
Realistically, no. I probably veer towards what you were saying in terms of splitting votes. And while there was clearly enough positive talk about Stephanie to get her the nomination, I don't think that kind of, even though I think it should be there, I don't think that kind of enthusiasm is there to propel her to the actual win, especially when I think 2 others in this category are the clear front runners in my mind.
All right. Well, Perri, having said that, who is number 4 on your list?
Scott, I hate this game. So I have a very clear 5 in my mind. I have a very clear 1 in my mind. My 2, 3, and 4 are like so incredibly close together and could probably change any day, anytime. Right now, my number 4 is Carrie Condon for The Banshees of Inisherin. And I think she's my personal number 4 simply because I prefer Black Panther Wakanda Forever, and I prefer I don't know about that, though. I was about to say I prefer the whale, but I don't think I do. This reasoning is awful. I love all these performances, but whatever. Carrie Condon's my number 4. I do think she is one of the I do think she is one of the top two, though, to actually win the award. I think it's down to her and one other person. I think Banshees has gotten tons of support, and like there's something about her in particular for me in that movie that I don't know. She felt like my entryway to that movie, where some of that movie felt like a little bit at a distance to me emotionally. I kind of latched onto her character more so than any, and I don't know. Her performance when I walked away was just one of my absolute favorite within an exceptional ensemble. So I do think she has a very good chance of winning. And you know what? Why she might not? If I say why she might not, I'll give away who I think is most likely to win. So I am not going to say that right now.
Okay, Jeff, where is Kerry Condon on your list?
I have her at number 2 on my own list. I thought she was excellent in this movie, and like a key part of the ensemble. I think that she kind of gets lost, behind the two leads in the conversation around the film, but like she was essential to its success and why the picture worked as well as it did. Why maybe she won't win. She's not maybe as well known as a Jamie Lee Curtis or an Angela Bassett. Maybe she's also younger and maybe has to pay her dues a little bit more or whatever. But I don't know. Banshees has a lot of support from the Academy, certainly more than movies like The Whale and even Black Panther probably. So I don't know. She is the dark horse in this race, who I think could actually surprise and potentially win.
All right, so I have Kerry Condon at number 3 on my list. And talk about support for a movie. So Banshees of Inisherin, there are 4 nominees that are actors. You have 4 acting nominees. And so there is definitely tremendous support there. But there's also, Everything Everywhere has a lot of support in nominations too, or acting nominations. So Kerry Condon, I think she's great in the film. I think she really stood out in a really terrific ensemble as the yin to Colin Farrell's yang, as brother and sister, almost like the heart of the movie in a way. And it was a standout performance for sure. Why I think she won't win is really because I think all the heat is gravitating towards the son that is number 1 on this list, son SON, in this case, and I just think that's really the only reason, because I think that she's a front runner to win. I mean, she certainly got nominated for good reason, but I just think there's more talk about another nominee who is going to win. All right, so with that, Perri, who's number 3 on your list?
Just want to point out with Kerry Condon, one of my favorite things about that character in the movie, and I'm thinking about this because I just criticized a different movie that's unrelated to the Oscars for this reason. I love the fact that she's a supporting character that propels the narrative forward for everybody around her, but also has her own arc.
Absolutely.
Like all supporting characters, maybe not all supporting characters, but I think it's especially impactful when they have those qualities. My personal number 3 is Hong Chow for The Whale. And, I'll go back to what I stumbled over as I was explaining why Kerry Condon is my number 4. I think I prefer Banshees as a movie over The Whale, but those The Whale performances were just jaw-dropping to me. And Hong Chow is someone who I felt that way about as an individual for a really long time. So it really just fills my heart to see her get this kind of recognition that, I think she's long deserved at this point, or at least, when she had her breakout where she became a more familiar name via downsizing. But she's a force in this business, and I can't wait to see more from her. But I think her Oscar road ends here. I think in her case, we're talking about a nomination being the win type scenario. I think all of the Whale support is going Brendan Fraser's direction right now. I think she's probably the least likely to win of everybody here, but that shouldn't take away from the fact that she delivered a phenomenal performance.
All right, Jeff, where is Hong Chow on your list?
Number 1.
Really? Okay.
Wow. I like that. I like that.
I think Hong Chow gave the supporting female performance of the year in The Whale. But I'm with Perri in that I don't think she has really much of a chance to win. I just think that The Whale is just synonymous with Brendan Fraser, and he's getting all the love and attention, and she is just, being very overshadowed. So I do fear that the nomination is the win for her. But to me, the eyes don't lie, and she is the most deserving actress in this category.
Hong Chow is terrific. I have her at number 5 on my list, not because I don't like her performance in the film in The Whale, but just because you got to rank them. And Perri, I understand why you hate this game, but that is the name of the game, and that's what makes it fun at the same time. So while I have Hong Chow at number 5, I absolutely think, when it comes to supporting performances, in addition to like what you were just saying about Kerry Condon, I feel like Hong Chow's role in The Whale has a similar impact. And she, next to a towering performance from Brendan Fraser, I do think that she held her own, made her mark strong enough in a film that is, even though it's called The Whale, it is a smaller, intimate film. But also Hong Chow gave an equally tour de force performance in The Menu, which is awesome, and did really, really well at the box office. So she had a really good year in 2022. Why I think she won't win, same as with the other 2 nominees that I talked about already. I just think that this is really starting to turn into a lock for who I have at number 1 and who I think is going to win. More on that in a moment. Perri, who's your number 2?
More on that right now. My personal number 2 is Angela Bassett for Black Panther: Wakanda Forever. I mean, the second I walked out of that movie, I couldn't stop thinking about her performance. She's phenomenal, like the definition of a powerhouse in that role. Why I won't think she will win? I don't know. Maybe if we have some sort of surprise, but really everything that's been happening recently is just, it's been consistently bumping her higher and higher in my rankings in terms of a predicted winner. And at this point, I think there's a significant gap between her and everybody else. I think it's one of those situations where, yes, it will be honoring the performance itself, but I think it's also honoring her as an individual. I think there's enthusiasm behind the idea of an MCU actor finally getting a nomination and a potential win. There's just like, there's so many different things that are working in her favor right now. And I will personally be very excited to see her get up there and take that statue, because I think it's hers right now.
Okay, Jeff, where is Angela Bassett on your list?
Number 4.
What? Wow. Okay. Go ahead. Yeah. Let's hear it.
I got out of Black Panther, as I think most people did. And regardless of your thoughts on the movie or whether you like the villain or whatever, everyone can kind of look at each other and agree, like, Angela Bassett was really fucking good in this movie. I just don't remember anyone coming out of that movie being like, Angela Bassett, we got to give her an Oscar. Like, I don't really get it. Maybe the field is considered weak. I think a big part of it's going to depend on whether the voters look at her as a Black actress, which is, we have snubbed Viola Davis, we snubbed Danielle Deadwyler. Like, there's all this talk about it, and just like what happened with Oscar So White, okay, we're going to give it, to Angela because she was great, and we want to show them that we're not racist. Or does the Academy look at her as a Marvel actress? In which case, I don't think she's going to win. And so you're like, you guys are talking about, oh, they want to honor Marvel and no, I don't think that they do want to honor Marvel performances. I think that if she was this good in any other movie, it would be in the bag. But there's a lot of people out there who are just like, Black Panther, like, we're giving her an Oscar, like, over Kerry Condon and like everything. No, I just don't see it. I don't think she's going to win.
All right. Well, I disagree with that completely. First of all, Jeff, you say this is a weak field. I think this is a very strong field of 5 supporting actress nominees. So strong that it actually, even though I sort of have a clear vision of who I think is going to win and why, it's still a tough call. Pardon me, because it is such a strong field. And I have Angela Bassett at number 1. She is my favorite of the 5 supporting actress nominees, because I remember when I saw Black Panther in October, I thought the film was okay, not as good as the first, but as good as a movie called Black Panther without Chadwick Boseman could possibly be, picking up the slack in a very, very big way from the absence of the late, great Chadwick Boseman. I think that Angela Bassett knocked it out of the park with a performance that was better than this movie or any movie from a comic book field deserved. I thought she knocked it out of the park, and I thought, whoa, she gave an Oscar-worthy performance in that film. And in the circle that I was in after the film, we were all like, oh my God, she should get nominated for this. And now that I'm seeing the field of the 5 nominees and seeing the fact that Angela Bassett won the Golden Globe, the Critics' Choice Award, again, she's a SAG nominee, there is a lot of support for her. Everyone thinks that she has an Oscar for playing Tina Turner in What's Love Got to Do with It. She does not. She was nominated, and that movie came out in 1993. So it's been 30 years since that movie came out, and she's finally getting her second Oscar nomination.
Yeah,
wait, hang on. This is in addition to being a great performance, and I don't think that they got to honor Marvel has anything to do with it. I think that people are going to look at Angela Bassett and go, she's a legend. She's an amazing actor who has never won an Oscar, and it's just her time. And Jeff, no, why are you shaking your head at that?
I'm saying it because that doesn't matter.
It does matter. Of course it matters.
I just don't think it does. I think that they vote based on the performance and not on, she's been great for 30 years. Why doesn't she have an Oscar yet? You can say the same thing about Jamie Lee. Here's what I was getting at. You were standing in that circle with your friends. You said, oh my God, she was so great. I think she should get nominated. She deserves to be nominated. Did anyone say this is the female supporting performance of the year?
Not yet.
I didn't hear that from anybody. Everyone said she was very good and good enough to get nominated, but no one, I just don't, who thought she should win an Oscar for that?
Well, not yet, not at the time. People were going like, oh, maybe she gave an Oscar-worthy performance. Right. But then as the the weeks went by, you get to the end of the year, you go, wait a minute, she could actually,
she's only become this front runner because she's won these precursor awards.
Well, exactly. That's part of what we do here. But just to throw out other examples, look at all the acting nominees, at least that we're looking at this year. How many of them did you walk out of a movie and hear a significant amount of people say, oh my God, that's not just an Oscar nomination worthy performance. That's the winner right there. Really, the only one I could think of is Brendan Fraser. I can't even say the same thing about Ke Huy Quan because that kind of built up over time. But, I think in most cases, walking out of a movie and saying that deserves a nomination, it is the most likely scenario.
Like when I think about performances in the past where while I was watching the movie, I said, oh my gosh, this person is going to win. I think of Jennifer Hudson and Dreamgirls. I mean, I just was like, the movie wasn't even over yet. And I'm going, she's going to win. I think of Ariana DeBose in West Side Story. I mean, the movie is still going. And I'm like, she's winning supporting actress. Yeah, I think of Christoph Waltz in Inglourious Bastards. I go, that guy is winning the Oscar. Now, wait, I didn't feel that way watching Angela Bassett in Black Panther, but as the weeks went on, I started thinking that way. Just like when I saw Ke Huy Quan in Everything Everywhere in March, I was going like, whoa, that guy was great. He's a revelation. So when he started getting nominated and he started winning, of course, we're going to get to that category in a moment, I went, I'm down with that. He deserves it. Go ahead, Jeff.
No, I just a couple months ago you had I remember Jamie Lee Curtis as your number one in this category, and I just don't know what changed. Like, why is Angela Bassett now the number one in this category just because she won a couple of awards that aren't voted on by Academy members?
Well, Jeff, what do I say here every week when we do FYC?
Right, things change. Yeah,
things change. So yes, I mean when I had Jamie Lee Curtis at number one, by the way, you were shaking your head saying she wasn't even going to get nominated, and I said yes, she was. Yes, so I still have her. I mean, obviously she did get nominated, but now we're talking about winners. Now we're talking about like who's going to win. Right. And I love Jamie Lee Curtis in Everything Everywhere. That has not changed, but my feeling about the other nominees did. And we're talking about who we think is going to win and looking at the precursors, looking at the fact that she's due. And that does play a factor because do you think Martin Scorsese's The Departed, do you think that was his best film? No, it was Raging Bull or Goodfellas, but it was like we got to give it to this guy. So they gave it to him for The Departed. Same thing with Paul Newman for The Color of Money. Was that his greatest performance in the world? No, he had like a dozen other performances that he should have won for, but they gave it to him for that.
Comparing The Departed to Black Panther Wakanda Forever.
I'm just making a point that having a career acknowledgement does play a factor on a win. And I think that's one of the factors that will play into Angela Bassett's win. All right, Perri.
Vulnerable. That's all.
Having said all that, Perri, who's your number one?
It's obvious. Everybody knows this at this point. My favorite supporting performance this year comes from Stephanie Hsu in Everything Everywhere All at Once. I think it is it's really something else to be, you know, a somewhat new, like she's got another SAG award nomination. She crushes it on Marvelous Mrs. Maisel, but I think it's really something else to see a somewhat newer face step into an ensemble of heavyweights and not even just be able to hold her own, but to really drive that movie in very particular directions. And that is a role that demands maximum range in terms of going from, you know, the sensitivity of a young woman not being able to see eye to eye with her mother on certain issues to, you know, what she has to do as Jobu, which is really just this like absolutely wild, never before seen performance where like at the snap of a finger, she has to like act one way or another or tap into action versus something more sinister. And all the while having the core of her performance based in a really difficult human truth that's really hard, if not impossible, for so many people out there to process. Like, what an exceptional performance. What a vast range of challenges that she meets nonstop from beginning to end in this movie. I think she is above and beyond the most deserving winner in this group in my mind, but I will fully recognize the fact that she is realistically towards the bottom of this list. I would probably put her as at number 4 over Hong Chau in terms of most likely to win. I don't see it happening, sadly, but she's a winner in my book.
She's a winner in my book as well. Jeff, where do you have Stephanie Hsu?
Number 5. She was good in the movie. She's a rising actress. Really liked her work in Poker Face as a young thief. But yeah, lucky to be nominated.
I have Stephanie Hsu at number 2. It's a very close 2 to the number 1. I think if there is an upset in this category, I think Stephanie Hsu is the one to do it. That would be pretty awesome if that does happen. Stephanie Hsu, I think she gave the most complex performance out of these 5 because, you know, she is, I would say, kind of a newcomer, and she is also a character. This is a movie. Her character is about sexual awakening. It's about empowerment. It's about representation. It is about showing a lot of range just with a supporting performance that Perri, like you pointed out with Kerry Condon, she goes through her own arc and is almost a lead. So she's a very close number 2 to my number 1. And if she wins, I would be thrilled. I think that she is a winner for not only getting nominated, but for just the exuberance and the genuine excitement that she's displaying during this whole award season process. All right. So with those 5 nominees, Perri, who is winning this award?
Angela Bassett.
Jeff, who is winning this award?
I don't know. I don't know.
I'm
Kerry Condon or Jamie Lee Curtis.
All right. I think both of those are probably wrong, but I'm sticking with Angela Bassett as the number 1. All right. Let us move on to supporting actor. Perri, who do you have at number 5 on your list?
I have Brian Tyree Henry at number 5, and I have to admit it's because I didn't wind up getting the time to watch Causeway because I kind of lost a little bit of time the past couple of weeks that I thought I was going to have. So I am strictly putting him at number 5 because I have not seen Causeway yet. But I also think in terms of predicted winners, he's probably the number 5, the least likely to win of the bunch, mainly because there's less talk about Causeway, and I don't think it's had as much of an award season campaign push as some of these bigger juggernauts. When you look at Banshees, which has such a significant amount of support behind it, and also The Fabelmans has had a much more significant push, at least in my eyes. So that is why I have him at number 5.
All right, Jeff, where do you have Brian Tyree Henry for Causeway?
I have him at number 3. I just think that the performance itself is excellent. I know a lot of people haven't. I mean, the film is not as watched as The Fablemans or some of these other nominees, most likely. But I don't know. I mean, Apple surprised everybody with Coda last year. I have a feeling Apple is getting the word out about this. I've seen, interviews with Brian Tyree Henry that I haven't seen with some of the other nominees. They're not quite getting the same press as him, maybe just because, he's a great interview. People love talking to him. Yeah, man, I thought he was just exceptional. But why he won't win, obviously, I think that this award is already sewn up.
I agree with that. I have Brian Tyree Henry at number 3 on my list. When I saw the film, and I mean, I'd seen Brian Tyree Henry in other things, but I just thought he was a revelation in this film. Really held his own against, Academy Award winner Jennifer Lawrence. I think it's a really good, intimate, just personal film. It's just a small little film with like amazing performances. He really stood out. But I think that this category is a lock for sure. So that's why he probably won't win. But all right, Perri, who is number 4 on your list?
My number 4 is gonna be Brendan Gleeson, and I'll admit that again, if we're talking about personal lists right here,
Yeah, we
like,
are.
I find myself ranking them in a sense, like I don't even like saying this, but like I liked his character the least. Like I found him very, very frustrating to watch, and I found the decisions he makes in the movie very frustrating to experience, even though the movie very much justifies why certain characters behave a certain way. But when I look at some of the performers that I have left, there's a couple of things that their characters do say or go through that I think touched me on a deeper level than he did necessarily. But I feel like I'm just like reaching for reasons to rank exceptional performances at this point, because a guy like Brendan Gleeson who delivers nonstop, I mean, it's yet another fantastic performance from him. And ultimately, in terms of chances to win, he's still my number 2. I think there's a pretty significant gap between 1 and 2 that I don't think he could ever catch up with at this point. But if anyone other than my predicted number 1 doesn't win, I think it's going to be him.
All right, Jeff, where do you have Brendan Gleeson?
I have him at number 2, so that last statement from Perri would make sense. Yeah, if the obvious frontrunner here does not win, then I think it's Brendan Gleeson's for sure. He was great in this movie. I think it's a really interesting character. There's a sadness about him, and a stubbornness too. I mean, I just think Brendan Gleeson is a terrific actor in general. But yeah, I'm with Perri in that he's not playing a super likable character, and there's just one performance in this category that just really like knocked my socks off. I wouldn't be upset if Brendan Gleeson won, but I don't think it's his year.
I have Brendan Gleeson at number 2 as well, Jeff, and just for the same reasons that Perri mentioned. So Brendan Gleeson, it's his first Oscar nomination, but he's an Emmy winner for playing Winston Churchill in Into the Storm. I think he's a beloved actor. He's one of those character actors that just disappears into the role, who's always great in everything. I mean, he was great in a lead role in a movie called The General, which if you haven't seen, I strongly recommend it. If you want to discover Brendan Gleeson at the top of his game, watch The General. In terms of like the character, yeah, he does something to himself, mutilates his body, really sort of overreacts, I guess, in a way that makes people go like, why would he do that to himself to make a point? But I think that's what makes the character so interesting and so complex. And like you said, Jeff, so sad. I think it's a towering performance. And again, in a film that has a whole lot of support for acting nominations. But again, I just think that all the talk is on someone else. So that is the only reason why he won't win. All right, Perri, who's number 3 on your list?
My number 3 is his co-star, Barry Keoghan. I was so happy to see him get this nomination because I know leading into the nominations announcements, we were talking about basically the rest of the main ensemble getting a nomination, but him being the least likely. So I'm really glad that he was recognized. And, I love his performance in this movie and in general. He's one of those actors that I think always elevates what's on the page in a way that makes you like lean in and very much understand the surface layer of what his character is going through and what he means for the story, but also be able to feel the fact that there's so much more going on. And it makes me want to know more and more about every single person that he plays. And he's got that effect on me in Banshees as well. And I don't know, there's just so many moments in this movie where like the curiosity I had for his character and what he's going through just leapt off the screen. The conversation between him and Kerry Condon, the chemistry between him and Colin Farrell. I love his work in this movie. So he's my personal number 3. I don't think he has the best chance of winning. He actually probably would also be number 3 in terms of chances of winning. But again, I don't think that means the same thing in this category as it might in others.
All right, Jeff, where is Barry Keoghan on your list? At least we know how to say his name.
He's number 4 on my personal list, although I think he's probably number 5 in terms of his actual chances. Like, there's just no way he's going to, get more votes than someone like Brendan Gleeson. And in fact, he may take some votes away from Brendan Gleeson. So again, it's tough when you have 2 actors from the same movie in one category. I think this kid is exceptional. I have for years. American Animals, Killing of a Sacred Deer. Like he has something and he's different. So I love Barry Keoghan as an actor. But yeah, I already sort of explained why I don't think that, he is going to win this year. He's going to have to settle for the nomination being the win.
I have Barry Keoghan number 5 on my personal favorite list here. I thought his performance was very good in the film, but compare Barry Keoghan's supporting performance to Brendan Gleeson's supporting performance. They're both nominated. I think Brendan Gleeson gave the stronger performance. So I just think out of the 5 nominees, this character, Barry Keoghan's character, his performance in the movie is the one that sort of impacted me the least. I think it's it's definitely worthy. It's his first nomination. He's also a SAG nominee, but he didn't really stick out for me as a front runner to win, especially when there is a front runner to win now. All right, Perri, number 2 on your list.
I would make Judd Hirsch my number 2. I definitely was part of the group that felt the effects of, I guess, for lack of better terms, like his mic drop type moment, that conversation in particular, and just like his effect at that point in his life in the movie. It just, I don't know. It rocked me to my core. I felt it. Within a movie where I like so many things about it, it wound up being the scene that kind of reverberated throughout my life after the fact, where I just carried it with me. And I still think about it on a pretty regular basis now. So as far as personal favorites go, I would have him higher up on the list at number 2, but I do not think he has any chance of winning. And at this point in time, he's my number 4 in terms of rankings of most likely to win.
All right, Jeff, where is the great Judd Hirsch on your list?
He's number 5 for me. I would have liked to have seen Paul Dano nominated here. I just think he did, he gave a richer performance overall. This is essentially a cameo, a very effective cameo. Judd Hirsch comes in, knocks it out of the park and leaves. But it's just not enough to give this guy an Oscar. And I still think that there are people who may be a little sore about the Paul Dano snub. So, Judd Hirsch, nice to see him again. Nice to see him delivering good work in a movie that I thought was really, really good, but not enough to get the Oscar.
I have a Judd Hirsch number 4 on my list. Yes, his scene was great, but he's in the movie, and I clocked it. He's in the movie for 8 minutes and 44 seconds. And sure, I mean, you have someone like Judi Dench winning for Shakespeare in Love for, one of the shortest performances in Oscar history. But I just felt like Judd Hirsch's performance in this movie, as much as he really grabbed the bull by the horns and ran with it, I felt like it was a bit much, to the extent that instead of watching a character in a film, I felt like I was watching an actor act. It just sort of went a little too far with being sort of over the top. And I'm obviously, I might be in the minority in that opinion, but because he did get nominated over Paul Dano, who I thought also should have been nominated. We were going back and forth with that when we were predicting supporting actor nominees. Why he'll win? It's because it's his first Oscar nomination in 42 years when he was nominated for supporting actor for Ordinary People. Why he won't win? Well, there are other nominees here who are more deserving, and there is one who will, and that is why. All right, Perri, number one on your list. Let's hear it.
I mean, it's Ke Huy Quan. It's over. It's been over for a long time. And, it's as much as I love so many performances this year and in this category, like he's my personal number one. He's the most likely to win. I'm so happy to see him, have this comeback and be embraced and be celebrated. I absolutely adore everything his character stands for in that movie. Talk about a role that just absolutely fills my heart and gives me hope and left me like uplifted and enthusiastic and, I don't know, wanting to embrace and support everybody around me. Everything about him and that performance is just, I don't know, screaming deserving of an Oscar win to me. And he is going to get that win.
Jeff, obviously Ke Huy Quan is number one on your list. So
yeah,
let's hear why he'll win.
He was fantastic. I mean, he really kind of blew me away. To the point where I entered everything everywhere all at once, and everyone had been talking about Michelle Yeoh, and I was like, wait a second. This guy's amazing. Like his energy, just his charisma. I can't believe he was like sidelined basically in Hollywood for as long as he was. And he's also just like the story of award season. He's the one who's getting all the fun selfies, and he just has this great narrative. I hate to compare him to this, but remember like the artist season with Uggy the dog?
Yeah.
Everyone loved Uggy. Everywhere you went, Uggy the dog. Like,
you're comparing him to Uggy?
Pat Ke Huy Quan on the head or something, but he deserves this Oscar. I think he took this movie to the next level, and I can't wait to see what gigs he gets off of this, because I just love that he's back on the industry's radar. As for why he may not win, I can't really fathom a scenario in which that is the case, unless everything everywhere really just like shits the bed, for lack of a better term, and Banshees prevails.
Well, I too have, of course, I have him at number one, and he's my personal favorite, and he's the one who's going to win. I mean, look, I agree, Jeff. Watching his, him win all these awards and all these other functions, I don't think anyone is having more fun during this award season than Ke Huy Quan. Other people will go, oh my God, I'm so exhausted. Oh, great, another Q&A, another function. But I think really Ke Huy Quan is like, damn right, let's go, bring it on. And his exuberance and his excitement is so genuine and earned, because he did step away from the business for a couple of decades as an actor. He was doing behind the scenes work. And I remember when I saw the film at the opening night premiere, I remember I wrote in my notes, like, he is a revelation. Why has he not been acting all this time? He's so great. He stands out in this movie. Like, this is going to get him more work. He's going to be back. He's going to, certainly move forward with all these great roles. And I too can't wait to see what he does. And that, in a film as busy and as far out and as gonzo as Everything Everywhere is, he stood out. He was the heart of this movie. I mean, he brought it all back home at the end. And the movie really sort of like goes all over the place all at once. And he brings it back, sort of seals it with the bow, with a big, big, big heart. He is so deserving. I'm so glad that this is happening for him. And yeah, he's the one to beat. If there is a lock in any category, it is for supporting actor, for Ke Huy Quan, for Everything Everywhere All at Once. And are you both in agreement with that assessment?
Yeah.
Yeah. Yes. So there you have it, ladies and gentlemen, FYCers. We have our projected winners for supporting actress and supporting actor. So next time on FYC, we're going to do this personal ranking thing, picking the winner for Best Director. That is next time on FYC. Make sure you scroll down below and hit subscribe to Perri Nemiroff's channel so you can see when FYC and all her other great content hints. You'll be the first to know. Big thanks to our sponsor with the very deep pockets, Above the Line, for really bringing FYC to the next level and making it the must-see awards show of the year that you should all be sharing on social media so everyone can discover why the amazing Perri Nemiroff, the mighty Jeff Snyder, and yours truly are having the best time doing the award season thing. So until next time, FY, see you later.